The Mexico GP is here, and now we have all the pictures and we can discuss the upgrades. A lot of stuff that, there isn't big upgrades here, but there's some important tests being made from multiple different teams and how it can impact 2024, especially coming from the front-running team. But some nice pictures and a couple of upgrades to go over, especially talking about the downforce and the cooling. And right before I get into it, I wanted to thank you guys, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're killing it on the channel. Makes my day. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't and hit that like button. It makes the video do a lot better. So thank you guys so much for the support. Let's talk about all the upgrades here and the big things for 2024. Let's go over the rear wings as we usually do at first. Okay, let's discuss what we see here on the screen. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Alpine. Biggest thing I'm going to note here automatically is, as I said, max downforce has to be relevant here because the cars, they're very shaky on this high altitude. The air is a lot thinner, so DRS is actually less effective, but they need it for the actual grip themselves. I talked about it in the track preview, but I'm going to mention it again. You need the max downforce. And if you look, every team here practically has max downforce with the exception of Ferrari. And I also noted that this would happen in the video. Ferrari is a team that doesn't work well under max downforce. I'm not sure why the car is in that kind of weird state. I think it has a lot to do with the philosophy that they started with, which was a very overcut instead of a undercut type car. So they already generate a lot of downforce, and the actual rear wing itself is really just there to provide them with top speed. So I think they'll be okay, but yet again, they're saying that the actual engine in the back is going to cause them problems because of the turbocharger. Maybe they won't be good here. I personally think this will be a weak point for Ferrari, but you know what? They've had a couple of good races, so it's okay if they have one bad race. Regardless of that though, Red Bull fully decked out, Mercedes the same, and Alpine always kind of runs the same type of rear wing. They haven't really changed it too much throughout the season. The other four teams that I wanted to cover: Haas, Aston Martin, McLaren, and Alfa Romeo. Obviously, as you see here, all running full downforce rear wings, the big boys. And they're all running gurney flaps. Now, this is going to be a very relevant thing here for the Grand Prix, but funny enough, in this picture, Aston Martin is not running it. They're the only team here out of the four that's not. Even the teams prior to this were running a gurney flap. As you can tell, it's that little lip on the top. It just adds that extra bit of downforce. It's not necessarily necessary. We'll have to see. They're probably going to run a lot of tests here for their also 2024 car. The team was supposed to bring upgrades here. It doesn't seem like they've brought that. A couple of little adjustments, and I'll speak about what else they've brought. So here's another picture of the rear wing, and I wanted to show you they are running a spec with the gurney flap, as you can actually see here. In their four pictures, you couldn't. If you look here, you see some couple of updates to the car. You see that new floor without its actual whole entire side pod integrated into it. You see the little T-tray that they have that they actually originated onto the car. It is a bit different to other cars. I just wanted to point that out. Nothing else crazy. And as you look at the brake ducts for the car, super wide, because here you need a lot of cooling. It's actually the only track when you're going down that huge straight in sector 1, you go from 300 kilometers to 100. Like, it's a big braking zone. It's one of the only tracks that actually has it to that degree. Not even Baku goes to that degree. It's pretty crazy. So you need big brake ducts, or you're going to be on fire like they were in Austin. So hopefully that does not happen for the team. Another last thing to note, actually, just looking at it right now, they don't actually have the cutout on their wing that they usually do. So they're going for full downforce here. And I think the other car wasn't like that. So it's interesting to note that they kind of went back to like a reverted spec. I wonder what this is really for. Here's another thing that I wanted to add on for Aston Martin, something that they're looking into. Two different specs on the front wing, one with the gurney flap, one without. As you can see on the front wing, it's super small. Yes, it does that downforce because of it actually concentrating the air going there. So yes, another thing to note for Aston Martin. Nothing crazy. As it was reported by Ted Kravitz and Mike Crack, they're a team that loves to tease us with upgrades and then bring nothing. So it's hard to report on a team that very severely does not bring upgrades. I hope that I'm somehow wrong and something shows up, but as of right now, there's nothing out. But here are some of the big things. Something I wanted to note was that the actual AlphaTauri team has the name change. We know what it is now. It is called Racing Bulls. That is actually what the cars are going to be called in the team. I think I'm a fan. I like it. Racing Bulls, if you're going to be the sister team, you might as well embrace it. So I'm a fan of this. let them be called Racing Bulls. The sponsors are mainly going to be distributed between like big sponsors. It's not going to be one main sponsor. It's going to be a lot of them. I know Cash App is one of the big sponsors that they're looking into for this car. So that is something to know. Hopefully they change up this livery. It's a pretty disgusting livery, so I hope we get something a lot different. I actually liked it when it first came out, but now when I look at it, it's just boring. I don't want the like black and white that it has. I want a different color palette. Just make it yellow. I don't know, that'd be pretty cool. We want some color. The cars have been very boring this year. So Racing Bulls, that's the new team for Yuki and Daniel Ricciardo. Just wanted to show you a better picture of the actual Ferrari rear wing. As you see, not as max downforce as the other rear wings that we see. So something to note there. Maybe they're going to be fast and straights. As I said though, they're probably going to struggle with this turbocharger. Now here's the biggest thing I want to talk about, cooling. I talked about it in a couple of Grand Prix before in Qatar. Same thing here. The biggest skills that you can get on the car, the Ferrari shows it off very nicely as it looks beautiful on this car. Distributes the air back. The actual S-duct that they have also provides more cooling because it's going to go into this. And if you look at the rear of the car actually has a lot more wider openings. I'm going to show that now actually on the Alpine, because the Alpine has a livery with Castrol. Castrol has been a sponsor of theirs forever, even since they were a Renault team. So as you can see, and if you look very carefully, Aston Martin has that almost shark fin for their cooling. A lot of teams have a little bit of a gap in between there. What Alpine did was they don't have like a shark fin. They don't even really have like a little wing on top of there. It's just these little edges on the car, and there's little holes going in between them to let the air out for engine cooling. They're a team that really struggles with this. Last year, they actually had a huge like gill on their car on the side pod as well. So this is already something to note. As you can see, also the engine cover is wider out for its cooling. So it's just going to be, you have to make sure that the car is in a perfect state here. It's a very weird track on when it comes to downforce, but also you got to take care of the car. It's a very important one. Last year, guess whose engine blew up? Fernando Alonso, like 15 times throughout the whole season. But in Mexico, I remember him being pissed off, throwing the wheel, getting all angry. Don't blame him. He didn't throw the wheel, but he threw something. I forgot what it was, or just punched the air. I forgot what he did. Don't blame him. I think Alpine's going to probably get a DNF here. They're one of the teams that are the least reliable, and Ocon's got 7. So let's see. Will he get an 8th? Very possibly so. We also have a beautiful picture of the actual diffuser for the McLaren. You see the beam wing that they're running, but also you can see a couple of the kicks in the diffuser. And it's not very Red Bull-esque. Red Bull is a lot more complicated, but it shows you a good shot of the actual diffuser and the upgrades that they've added to the car and the one slight kick that you can actually see there. Very smooth, very slick picture. Last and biggest thing that I wanted to note was Red Bull. Yes, Red Bull actually brought something here. It will not be used in the Grand Prix though. It is only used for practice purposes. It's 2 different floor specs. This is being reported by people that are from there, actually are reliable sources. So they're bringing 2 different floor specs. They will be ran in the practice sessions for their 2024 car, which will probably be an insane car, the RB20. They're a team doing this with the floor. We know that they have those long Venturi tunnels and that they generate a lot of downforce from their floor. They're just so good at that. And that's really where the bread and butter of the RB19 is, so it probably will be with the RB20 as well. Using this as a practice session, they're already so much ahead. Like they really need time for the setup anyways. Max was destroying everybody last year anyways, so this is just to add on to the Max dominance for the next season. But they actually brought something here, and I might have a picture of it, I might not. Ferrari also brought a brake disc that was actually going to be used in their 2024 car as practice measures. I wonder what other cars are actually bringing stuff here. I know Aston Martin is trying to really capitalize on the packages they had in Austin and really focus in on the setup. They say that they've actually found something and the simulator was telling them a wrong thing. Now they've got it down for their upgrades. So let's see if they're good enough. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Comment what you think of Racing Bulls, the whole 2024 floor, and who you think is going to be the best here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are genuinely the best. Thank you so much. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.